Hello, how you doing? It's the Goddess of Love, and I'm back. I've been on a lot of spiritual journeys, so I haven't been making videos like I'm supposed to. But I'm back, and I'm expecting my first grandbaby. So, I'm making a video that's entitled to all the new moms. I currently have 4 kids. I have 2 girls and 2 boys. And I had my tubes tied after my last daughter. Okay, so my girls are on the end, my boys are in the middle, so I know what it's like to be pregnant with both girls and boys. And I've gotten the hang of doing both. And I had a regular doctor and a midwife, so I can give you advice on both. And so what I want to tell you today is some pregnancy advice for new moms that are anxious or don't know what to expect or need pregnancy tips. Now, the first thing I want to tell you, being that my youngest is 16 and my oldest is 22, about to be 23, is expectancy. That's my tip. My first tip for first-time moms is expectancy. Get rid of everything you expected, okay? I know as little girls, growing up as little girls, we played house, we played dolls, and we've all grew up with this great hope and expectations of what our pregnancy was going to be like, what being a mom and what our babies was going to be like when we first held them. And then we had this great expectation of what we wanted from our children in life. But I'm here to tell you that being a mom, sometimes what you want for your child may not be what your child wants for himself or herself. So give up the whole expectations. It will save you a lot of heartache in the long run, okay? And also give up expectations about your pregnancy. Sometimes you have the whole idea that my pregnancy is going to be smooth sailing and everything's going to be wonderful. The spotlight is going to be on me. I'm going to be like Cinderella with my big old belly, and it's going to be great. And sometimes if you're, for unwed mothers, if you're not, even if you're married, you know, the pregnancy can be horrible. Or you could be sick. You could have something called preeclampsia, or you could have pre-induced diabetes, and that's something we're going to get into later. So the pregnancy could have been horrible, okay? So just give up your whole ideas of what you thought could be and go with the flow, okay? So the first thing I want to talk about is your nips. Okay, now your nips are going to be extremely sore, and if you're anything like my daughter, you had little elbows for nips because she had no little tits and she had no nips. Okay, see the elbows? No nips. So if you want to breastfeed your baby, you have to make nips. And in order to do that, I know that your nips are sore, your breasts are sore. You have to give yourself breast massages, okay? And with that, even though your breasts are sore, you have to try to find a way to suffer through the pain and rotate your nips like this to form that nipple, because you want that nipple to eventually come out. You want it to be round and kind of be able to endure the toughness, because when a baby gets ready to suck on that nipple, if you're planning to breastfeed, baby's not going to be gentle. Baby's going to be rough and tough and hold on to your pants, okay? So and try to endure that pain. If you can put a little ice on it maybe to get it soft, and try to get it to pooch out just a little bit, and then you just rub them real soft like, and get them to, and do that every day, just a little bit a day. And as the months go along, hopefully you get a nice good nipple forming for the baby to suck on later, okay? And I have a list here. So my next thing is pelvic pain. Okay, for women, we got this little penguin walk, where you call it the waddle, the duck waddle. Okay, in the duck waddle, your pelvic starts to expand a little, and that makes your pelvic area down here really sore. And the doctor said you can take Tylenols for it, and I used to try that. Tylenols don't work, and you can't take all medicines, okay? Like certain cough syrups, Aleve, ibuprofen. No, you can't take all of that. Your doctor will give you a list of what medications you can take. Also, you can't take laxatives, okay? Not unless you want to flush your baby. Bye-bye. So, laxatives are no-nos. You can drink a little prune juice or eat a lot of vegetables. Drink plenty of water. Okay, I can't specify that enough. You'll have something called dry birth. Well, that is extremely painful on you, and that makes your labor goes very long. And let me tell you that once the labor process starts, you can't eat. That's why they give you ice chips, because you're going to be hungry. And as long as you're in labor, you can't eat. Dry birth, yeah, you get my drift. So, okay, yes. So what I've known to happen is a lot of women like to sit with their legs closed, but when you have the pelvic pain, you can't do that. That makes the pressure down there just that much worse. And some women was like, I thought I was hallucinating. No, you're not. Listen to your body. If your body says that something is making you hurt even more, listen to it. So you begin to sit like a dude, and you sit with your legs open. When you're at home and you're in bed, you sit with your legs as wide open as you want to, or you feel comfortable as you can. And you put a towel up against your stomach or something, a light thin sheet, and you put the heating pad on low up against your pelvic area, and you keep it there for about 5 minutes. Take it off for 5 minutes or 10 minutes, and you let it just rest. And you do that in intervals, and that is what eases the pain of the pelvic pain. No medicine, because it don't work. Okay. Also exercise. They have mother yoga and pregnancy videos out there or online or on Roku that is for pregnant women that they can do to help keep them in shape and make the pregnancy go smoother and help the labor go kind of quickly. But if you know your body and you know that, hey, I'm a skinny woman already, my body's gonna bounce back, you really don't need to exercise. Just sit there, enjoy yourself, eat all the calories you want, and let it bounce back by itself. Walk. Now, it don't matter how skinny you are or how big you are. Everyone needs to walk when they're in labor, okay? If you want your labor to be sweet and simple, you need to walk, okay? I walked and walked and walked. I was in labor for my first child. They said it was good. And I was like, really? Because my labor was 4 hours. And with my other daughter, it was like 4.5 hours. But with my boys, an hour and a half, an hour and a half. And if we had stopped or had a flat tire on the side of the road, they would have been born on the side of the road. Okay? That's how much I walked. So much. So an hour and a half, I think, was pretty good. But, 4 hours, I was like seeing faces of death. You know what I'm saying? And they was like, that's pretty good for your first child. And I was like, oh, really? Okay. I thought it could have been faster than that. Okay. And drink plenty of water, like I said, because at first, on the first one, I did not drink a lot of water. I stayed in the hospital with bladder infections and yeast infections, and they had to stick IVs in me, which was no fun. Okay? And also, sex. Well, let me just say this. If you're pregnant with a girl, you stay super duper horny, okay? And when you have sex, to keep extra bacteria out of your vagina, you have to pee after sex. I know a lot of women like to pee before sex. Hold that pee in there. Go have nice fun sex. And then after sex, go pee afterwards. That way you don't come up with a bladder infection or yeast infections. And for some reason, we're ladies, while we're pregnant, we're more prone to having yeast infections and bladder infections. So when we pee after sex, we wash those bacteria out of our vaginas. And it's also good to take a bath with apple cider vinegar to keep the pH levels balanced in our vaginas and to help wash out excess bacteria in our vagina. Also, with boys, I noticed that I didn't want to have sex pretty much at all with my husband. When I was just doing it just basically to please him and keep him happy. And as soon as it started, I was like, "Are you almost finished? Because I'm about to throw up on your back." And sometimes I literally gagged. So, yeah, and that's how I knew my baby was a boy, because he did not want any sex at all. So that's tips for you ladies. You want to know the sex? You're horny and your face is breaking out with acne, and sometimes some ladies nose will spread, and you'll get this thing called the mask, where your face get dark right up in here around the eyes maybe, but especially right here, and you got acne all over your chest, your arms, and your back, and all up in here. Hello, little girl, welcome to the world. Okay, but with boys, your face is pure, and you don't want to have sex. No acne, no nose spread, no mask. Hello, little boy, you got what you want, daddy. Okay, so those are tips too to look out. And also, you got a round little basketball. Okay, well, the girl is mostly like oval shape, like I don't know, like out and around. But with little boys, it's like a complete basketball with a little pooch, like the belly is poking out. I said my son was sticking his ding ding in my belly button, because my belly button poked out with both of my boys, when as my girls just woke up one day and I had no belly button, and I was like, oh, that was so nasty. But with my boys, I woke up one day and it was reversed, and I was like, ah, Jesus, and I did not want to touch my belly button until the whole thing was over. Okay, and also I got to a point in my pregnancy where I couldn't breathe. Yes, yeah, the baby was all in my ribs and diaphragm, and I was like, hurry up and get this baby out of me, because when I lay on my back, I can't breathe. And also, and my daughter has experienced this already. She's, 3 months? She'll be 4 months this Saturday. And one morning, she went to sleep slim, with a slim stomach. She woke up one morning, literally, with a pooch. And that was it. When that pooch, she thought she was bloated, and she wasn't bloated. She tried to take a deep breath, and she couldn't. She couldn't hold it. She was out of breath, and hurted her stomach a little bit, and she was like, I think that's the baby. And I was like, yeah, that's the baby, because it happened to me one day, and I was like, I went to sleep skinny. I woke up, I had a pooch, that was the baby. And now, at 3 months, she can no longer sleep on her stomach. And she was like, Mom, I've been sleeping on my stomach for 20-something years. Now I can't sleep on my stomach. What am I supposed to do? That's going to happen to you. Get ready. Come up with alternate ways to learn, how am I supposed to sleep when I can no longer sleep on my belly. Okay. Also, your immune system. Your immune system will be compromised. Anytime you see anyone sick around you with a cold, say, get back, Satan. Because as God is my witness, you're going to get sick. They got a cold, you're so going to get a cold. And I know there are alternate remedies. Soon as you find yourself with a runny nose, or you're sneezing too much, go get this natural herb called echinacea. That's Echinacea. Echinacea. Doesn't harm your baby, is natural, and it's a plant. Take about 2 of these in the morning, 2 in the afternoon, 2 at night. It says 1 a day, but it boosts your immune system. That's all it does. And it's going to help fight off whatever is ailing you, like a cold. And people use this like when they get snake bites. They take like 3 times in the morning, 3 times at night, 3 times in the afternoon until they can get to a doctor. So take about 2, boost yourself, drink a lot of teas, and you will get healed much better. And I keep these things with me. So in time I feel like I'm getting sick, whoop, whoop, I'm taking those two instead of running to the doctor or getting cough syrup. And another thing is you're going to be very emotional. Even before you know you're pregnant, you're going to be so emotional. I used to cry over commercials all the time, and I kept a box of Kleenex on the side of the bed for both my girls and my boys. So just Kleenex up. Just keep Kleenex. I watched commercials. I watched funniest home videos, and sometimes would cry. And so just expect it, and tell your husbands, your boyfriends, whoever, they need to be more sensitive to your needs. Show them this video and keep it on this part and say, hey, she said, see this? You need to be more sensitive to my needs because I am an emotional ball of wreck. One minute I'm going to be mad at you and I'm going to yell. Then when you yell back or you say, hey, what's wrong with you? Are you crazy? Then I'm going to cry. And that's going to be your fault because you put this butt in my oven and you don't have to carry it. Okay? And labor intensity. Well, here we go. Some labor spots for women are going to be like cramps. It's going to be down here in the stomach or in the back. And it depends on what your pains are now. When you have your periods, do you have your pains in the stomach or in the back? If you have them in the back or in the stomach, that's where your labor pains are going to be. So, and it's going to be that way times a million. And they say that you're close to death. Yes, you are. Yes, that is true. I've heard that sometime during labor your heart may stop or whatever. I do believe that because my son, his head was like humongously big, and I had a whole muscle spasm, like with my whole body shaking. And I believed at one spot I died. I went to heaven. I seen the Lord. And I was like, Lord, what am I doing here? And then the Lord, when he got ready to say something, I remembered I was still in labor. And his head got ready to come out some more. And I said, oh, can't talk, Jesus. Got to go push his head out. And then I jumped up right when my mom and my husband was looking at each other like, is she dead? I jumped up, started yelling in soprano, like, oh, pushed him out some more. He ripped my tootie and my clitoris. Yes, no orgasms for a whole year. And it felt like one big old hole when I peed. And yes, it burned. And he moved his head to come on out of there by himself without me even pushing. Bruised my tailbone, literally, because I had to get an x-ray. He bruised my pelvic bone. And I had to sit on a pillow for 2 years. Yes. So, on my first child, I was in labor for 4 hours, so I got to experience the beauty of epidural. Epidural, as soon as I got the shot, I was, before I got the shot, I was like, am I dying? I'm cold. This is not supposed to be like this. And after I got the shot, I hugged the woman excessively. I told the man, I said, hey, take the needle out of my back. Come around here. Give me a hug. I love you. I love you all. And I hugged everybody in the room. Then I started calling people on the phone like, yeah, I'm in love with you, dude. I love you. I love everybody. And then I was like, yeah, I'm in labor right now. I'm about to push. Hold on. Let me get off the phone. The man said, I got to push. Call you back. And then I had my baby. And they had to use forceps and everything because this is your first baby. I promise you not. Your first baby's head gonna come out like a football. It's gonna be long and ugly. And I was like, and then they put the long ugly baby on my chest. And I was like, no, that's not what I expect. It's bloody. His head is like, whoa, like an alien. Because, they had to pull it. They had to use the vacuum. And I was like, no, get this thing off of me. Shape her head back. Push it back and form it. And clean her up. I said, get it off my chest like that. I don't want to see her like that. And then they had to go clean her up. They put a cap on her head. And then they gave it back to me. I was like, now this is what I'm talking about. This is beautiful. I don't know what y'all gave me before. So, yes. And when I was in labor, I went to the hospital. You know, I thought me and the devil saw each other face to face, and we merged and became one. And I was like, where is my baby daddy? I'm gonna kill this son of a bitch. And luckily he didn't make it. He was at work. But when I went to the hospital, I threw up something that was like orange, like mustard colored. And they looked at it and they said, uh-oh, the baby boo-booed. We got to send her upstairs real quick. And I was like, what the hell you mean the baby boo-booed? And I was like, did I just throw up baby shit? And they was like, yeah, you did. I was like, oh, shit. And I had already threw up by the time swallowed by the time they said that. So I was like, oh, shit, I can't wash my mouth out. This is nasty. So then they, put a little hook in my vagina. And, by the time you're in labor, you're in so much pain. Like, 20 people is looking at your vagina with your legs open. You're like, I don't even give a damn. Just hurry up and get this process over. Okay? So, the second time, yes, my husband was there, thank God. And I knew what to expect. I had him with a midwife. And I loved the midwife even more. Okay? The first one was an OB-GYN. OB-GYNs just jump in and out because they got so many patients. They jump in and out, in and out. And the second one was a midwife. The midwife stayed in the room a lot more, and they was like, yeah, and okay. And I loved it much more better. Also, with the OB-GYN, my daughter stayed mostly in the nursery and let me get rest. But with the midwife, after my son was born, they did everything in the room with my son, and my son never left my side. And I loved it. And the midwife checked on me a lot more. The midwife catered my needs. And also for a lot of women who husbands may be on traveling out of town, they got a thing called a doula, who is someone that is knowledgeable of things like me, and that will be by your side as if they was your significant other. And they were like, you call your doula, and you said, doula, I'm in labor, and she comes to your house, or she goes with you and meets you at the hospital, and she's there by your side the whole time. And she needs to spend the night at the hospital, she's there with you the whole time. And she'll help you with your labor, your positions and all of that. And she'll come check on you the next day or two and help you. And then after that, about 3-4 days, and that's it. She's out. And they are wonderful. And so, yeah, that's it on that. Okay, and, okay, so what you have is you got to make sure that the baby is in the right position. If the baby is not in the right position and the baby's still facing up and going to be born breech, you can do a couple of things at home. You can be in the doggy position for a couple of hours a day. You can have your significant other rub your stomach counterclockwise and help the baby to turn. But the most good one, and that's going to be kind of painful, but the best one is just sit in a doggy position with your head down, all the way down on the bed, and your booty up in the air, so it's like that. And that helps the baby to turn naturally and get in the head first position. Okay? And I know they're going to tell you, and when you're in labor, I know they're going to tell you, we got to monitor the baby. And you tell them, you get control of your labor. And you tell them, because they're going to make you lay back. Laying back is the worst thing to do ever. And I know in your mind, it's going to be like, okay, it would make sense that if I'm in a lot of pain, I'm going to want to lay back. No. Gravity naturally flows down. It don't flow like this, okay? Gravity flows down. So if you notice that your pain feels better when you're sitting up, okay, that's why you tell them, shut the fuck up, I need to live, I need to survive, let me sit up, and you got to try to monitor this baby while I'm sitting up, because your labor pains will feel a whole lot better if you're sitting up. You can get on an exercise ball, sit up, and just be like, okay, let me sit up like that on the exercise ball. Let me sit up in the bed. Do not lay down. I hate the nurses telling the patients, lay back, let me monitor the baby. Tell them, fuck you, let me sit my own way, sitting up. You better monitor this baby while I'm sitting up, you know. Unless you know it's like a life or death threatening situation, then, you know, you sit up. But if it's just, you know, I may need a C-section, something wrong with the baby's heart, then lay down and let them do what they gotta do. And also prepare, things you can do to prepare yourself for labor is they got a exercise you can do. Take 2 fingers, go on the inside of your vagina, and yes, I suggest you probably, if you can, have your partner do this because it feels like you're playing with yourself. And go with the inside of your vagina and stretch it. Stretch even the clitoris and the bottom. Just stretch both sides like that. And that helps you to stretch the area so that when the baby comes out, you don't tear when the head comes out. And also, they got a thing to where when you're in the tub and it's just you and your baby, you take a deep breath and expand your stomach for as large as it can go. Hold it for a couple of seconds and then let it go. That's it. And also you got the thing, I don't know what it's called, but you hold your vaginas on the inside. Hold it, the muscles, contract the muscles as hard as you can. Hold it for a couple of seconds and let go. And then do it again. Contract your vagina muscles. Hold it for as long as you can for about 10 seconds and then let go. And that also helps too. Okay. I talked about the doulas. I talked about the, oh, and also they got one other thing called, I talked about the epidural, okay? But we didn't talk about the Demerol. Demerol, I did that for my last child. And that made me so sleepy that I actually went to sleep in the middle of labor when the skin was across her eyes and she had a little blood clot because of that. Because I actually went to sleep in the middle of labor. That stuff is awesome. But I would have liked to been more, I mean, I was, you know, me personally, I was out of it. I was like, I went into labor with my last child and I was like, hey, I ain't coming here for this shit. Hurry up and get me in, get me out of this shit. So they gave me the door, the Demerol, and I was like, oh, yes, thank you. I'm just going to sleep. Peace out. And they had to keep waking me up during labor. So I was like, cool. But for somebody that wants to be actively, like, knowledgeable of what the hell is going on, you know, then don't take the Demerol. You might want to think of something else. And I also played music to kind of like, da-da-da-da-da-da, you know, Patti LaBelle or something, you know. And I just sung and did it. And you may think the pain is here because you're in labor. Oh no, that's the beginning pain. The labor and the contractions and all that shit is the beginning of the labor. And all the IVs they stick in your ass, it's like, even though you in with the contractions, you still feel the IV pain with the contraction. You're like, oh shit, hold on, wait. I got the contractions and I feel the IV and all. Oh shit, that hurts. And it's crazy because the contractions don't distract the fact that the IV hurt just as much. And so, but the real pain comes when they bust the water bag. Then you be like, okay, I got one pain. You're like, oh shit, I'm about to die. Oh. And then all of a sudden they bust the water bag. You be like, oh shit, here is the pain. Uh-oh. Oh shit, I'm about to really die. But, you know, and you be like, when the head comes out, you be like, I can't do it. I can't do it. But you got to think, I ain't got no choice, you know. It's got to come out or I'm going to stay in labor forever. And the last thing you want to think to yourself is, I'm going to stay in labor forever. And a million women's done it before you. A million women's going to do it after you. So you're going to do it too. Okay? Hurry up. Get that shit over with. Or you're going to be in labor forever. Push it out. Okay, that's how I had to think about it to get myself through it. I'm not going to be in labor forever. I'm going to push this baby out just like a million women before me. a million women after me, and I'm gonna survive. I'm gonna make it. Okay, so you can do it. And you got this thing called Braxton Hicks. Braxton Hicks are contractions that get you ready for real labor. Okay, so the only thing that you can tell the difference between Braxton Hicks and real contractions is you have to time them. When it says Braxton Hicks, first contractions come every 15 minutes. So with Braxton Hicks, if it don't come every 15 minutes on the dot, 15 minutes, 15 minutes, 15 minutes, 15 minutes, that is Braxton Hicks. Okay, but real labor is going to be 15 minutes every 15 minutes on the dot. That's how you know you're in labor. And try not to go to the hospital until you get to like 5 minutes. Then you say, hey, I'm ready to go to the hospital. Because like if you're 15 minutes, they probably say, oh, you got a time, go back home. And you're like, what the hell are you talking about? I'm in so much pain. No, I don't want to go. Yeah, they're going to tell you some shit like that. But 10 minutes or 5 minutes apart, then you can go on up to the hospital, and they'll be like, okay, we got you now. Come on in. So, and Braxton Hicks contractions are false labor contractions, and they're just there to get your body ready for the real deal. And things to do, like when you're 9 months and you're saying I'm just ready, 9 months 2 weeks is the focus. Okay, 9 months 2 weeks is when you're saying, okay, I'm ready at some point to get this baby out of me. What you can do, the baby's not gonna come when the baby is ready, but things you can do. Inside the male sperm is a chemical that helps your body contract, and you'll notice that when you start having a lot of sex at the end of your labor, your body will just naturally contract and your stomach hurts. That's because there's a chemical inside the male sperm that helps to induce labor. And so you're thinking like, hey, the more sex I have, the more I'ma just go in labor. Well, like I said, it's God's timing and it's the baby's time. So you can, and I heard people eating spicy foods. I heard people doing all kinds of stuff. But one trick I did that worked for me is I went one time and I waited on the sex. I waited on the sex for like 2-3 days. I went and got me a nice little porno and went and had some good awesome sex for like an hour. Bam! Later on that night, pow! My son was born. Woo! So that's a good tip for y'all. And breastfeeding. Yes, soon as the baby pop out, you can breastfeed. Are you looking at me? Okay. Soon as the baby pop out, you can breastfeed. And I will tell you now, the cramps, it will start to cramp your stomach as soon as the baby is born. And that's because it's the contractions, it contracts the uterus, pulls the muscles in there to go back to its normal size. And that is the fastest way to get your body back to its original shape. And you will even lose extra pounds by breastfeeding. And the first week or two, the breast milk will not look normal, and that's called colostrum. That's the milk that is formulated to help form your baby's immune system so that your baby can fight off external bacteria in the environment. And you're giving your baby some of your immune system's information so that your baby can have an immune system. And then after that, then your milk will start to look like milk, and that's the milk. And every time your body has your baby, every time your body has a baby, your milk is formulated just for that baby. So your milk is formulated for either a girl or a boy, and it is designed for your baby's boy or your baby's girl. So I just find that fascinating. So just to let y'all know, you can go out there and purchase milk for your baby, but it's not for your son or daughter. Your breast milk is exactly formulated for your daughter or your son. So if your son happens to be lactose intolerant, your body knows it, and it is formulated for your lactose intolerant son. And no letting, your body is going to produce milk before the baby is even born, and you might see some milk ooze out of your breast. Don't let your loved one suck on that milk, because you can cause yourself to have a miscarriage by letting someone suck on that milk. Also, when you're breastfeeding, that's a natural contraceptive. It is impossible for you to get pregnant with another baby while breastfeeding. And also, when you're pregnant, you have normal titties. When you wake up one morning, you're going to have big old balloon titties, because your breast just balloon overnight and get full with milk and hard like rocks. It's going to hurt to hell. But I don't know why it just happens with the baby just overnight, and then your bed is going to be soaked with, like you pissed in the bed, but that's going to be spoiled milk, and it's going to smell like spoiled milk. So be ready for that one day that you're going to wake up to spoiled milk. And if you go for C-section versus vag, I would go for vag, because for me, when I tied my tubes, I said if I had to go for C-sections, I would have just had one child, because the C-section seemed like it was worse than a regular labor. I mean, me tying my tubes hurted even worse, and they kept me in the hospital longer than having a baby. I stayed in the hospital for 3 days on a C-section versus 1 day for a vaginal delivery. And last but not leastly, you want to make sure that if you lose weight in the beginning, don't worry about it. The doctor's really going to stress over it. Oh, you need to gain weight. You need to gain weight. You can gain weight. I lost 20 pounds in the beginning of my pregnancy. But in the end is where you want to pick up, around 6 months or so, you'll start picking it up. 5-6 months or so, you'll start picking it up. But for those, you don't want to pick up too much too soon and go all the way through picking it up, because the doctors will get worried about you getting a thing called pregnancy-induced diabetes or preeclampsia. And preeclampsia is what they call pregnancy high blood pressure. So that's why they're always worried about you gaining too much weight in your pregnancy. But you not gaining weight enough in the beginning is nothing to be worried about. But you do need to gain weight eventually, because you want to have a healthy, happy baby. Have a good one.